In the name of the Almighty God, the Compassionate, the Merciful. Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers. Welcome to another episode of the Noor podcast. Another exciting episode with an exciting guest where we will, inshallah, delve into important, relevant topics. And our dear guest can't wait, as I can't wait. And inshallah, you will benefit. Our dear guest has been on the Noor podcast before. A young, intelligent, motivating, and inspiring speaker from abroad, all the way from the United States of America, the face of Instahlulbayt, none other, in the red corner, none other than Sayed Mohammed Hassan Alsheraa. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. You said red corner, we're going to have a boxing match?
maybe.
No,
UFC.
Habibi. No, you're on my side.
Inshallah.
Or I'm on your side.
Depends on how the dialogue goes. Sayyid.
Inshallah. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you again for having me back, and I'm very humbled by your warm introduction. As usual, you're good at these. So may Allah allow us to benefit from each other, inshallah.
Inshallah ta'ala. The honor is ours, Sayyidina. Inshallah, we will delve into a variety of important, relevant issues and topics, which is very relevant for especially the youth and the community in the West.
Look forward to it. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's do it, inshallah.
Inshallah ta'ala. But before, we have to start light to warm up a little bit with some, maybe in the eyes of some silly questions, joking questions. But
Okay.
Let's start, Sayyidina, because you have been to multiple communities, you have tasted multiple kitchens,
Okay.
you have experienced different kind of people and cultures. So let's start with the most important question. Do you love Kabuli palau or maqluba?
This is gonna get me in trouble saying that. I don't want to choose one. It's like people's favorite teams, right?
Yeah.
But now that I'm with you, the Afghan national dish of Kabuli palau is up there.
Ahsantum. That's a win for us, Sayyidina.
Sad. Yep.
What is your favorite sport, Sayyidina?
Yeah, I mean, there are sports I like to watch, and some I like to play. But some I'll never play, and some I'll never watch.
Yeah.
So I like to maybe watch UFC, but I won't play it. And I like to play tennis, but I don't enjoy watching it. It's boring.
Okay.
So there are things you watch, but you'll never do.
Never do. Ahsantum.
How about you, Zayd?
I love football. Football all the way. I'm from Europe, Sayyidina.
Yeah, any soccer? Okay.
Football,
Oh,
sorry. We don't call it soccer.
My bad.
Don't curse, Sayyidina.
I
Please,
apologize.
please.
Forgive me. Yeah. American football is much different than your football.
Yeah, you call it football, what you play with your hands.
As always, I've heard that a trillion times. I get it. Yeah.
Harris or Trump?
Well, neither at this rate. I'll be very honest. No comment. And if I comment, I might get in trouble. So neither. No. Honestly, it's been diabolical. Yeah. The circumstances. I mean, as you know, and as everyone else does.
Yeah.
In life, it's easy to say this side or that side, but it's much more gray. You know, it's not black and white. There's a lot of gray in between. So in regards to those two, I couldn't be bothered at this rate.
I understand.
Yeah.
Inshallah, may Allah help you guys.
You guys in the Netherlands are probably looking back at us in the States and thinking, God help them.
God
right?
help them. But we need help ourselves.
God help you guys too,
Yeah.
you know.
With our far right government.
Yeah. So
if you know, Geert Wilders, the one who
the
made a movie against Islam, is the greatest party in the country.
Wrote a book against Islam.
Wrote a
Sharia,
book.
I think he calls it.
Yeah.
And he looks like the best evil villain, you know. If you've seen Draco Malfoy from Harry Potter, his hair back, sinister.
Yeah.
Doesn't no one likes him.
Indonesian, but he doesn't like immigrants.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he's having.
Wow.
But he how do you say, dye his hair?
Really?
Yeah, he has black hair.
Conformity.
Yeah.
See, that's the issue with people who don't take pride in their identity.
Unfortunately.
And I have no issue with wanting to be inspired by others, but not at the price of the background and heritage that brought you to where you are today.
Yeah.
And that's like the crisis of the generation and the last generation, where they want to sort of like separate further from the last generation and just become something else and conform. No, in reality, man, you come with something special, something beautiful, something unique. Don't be a chameleon and conform, especially if you're doing it for like an agenda and things like that. Yeah, be who you are, be proud of your identity, and speak your thoughts.
Ahsantum,
Right?
Sayyidina. That's a great way to introduce our first topic.
Okay.
The identity crisis we face, the progressiveness we face in our Islam, in our community. But first, I want to ask you one more important question before we delve into this progressiveness. and identity crisis we face nowadays,
Okay.
our generation especially. You have been to a variety of communities across the globe.
Yeah.
Canada, US, UK, even Tanzania,
Alhamdulillah.
Europe, the Netherlands multiple times.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah wa shukr. And what community was the most vibrant? And don't play the political
The
card.
Netherlands.
I knew you would answer that, Sayed.
I mean it. This is
Yeah.
a beautiful community, and I love all the places I've gone to, and I look forward to going back more and seeing different locations. But this place is beautiful. You mentioned with some of the hurdles and some of the concerns that you guys have, to see a community that manages to unite different groups from across the Netherlands.
Yeah.
We have people from Roermond, which is like 3 hours from Rotterdam. We have people from Amsterdam, people from all walks still gather under the name of Noor Association for the programs that we've, conducted and held. And it just shows that there's so much love for Ahlul-Bayt, and people are willing to come far, distances. I know there are programs in the States, people would take issue going and attending because it's like more than 30-minute drive. We have that luxury where everything needs to be near you.
Near you,
But that's because our relative case, you're in Dearborn. For those who don't know, it's called Dearbornistan.
Yeah.
We have 500,000 Muslims in Metro Detroit.
Subhanallah.
Metro Detroit.
That's
So it's
the
the
dream.
neighboring
Yeah,
cities.
yeah.
3/4 of them are Shia.
For us, that's the dream, Sayed.
And it can be a dream and a nightmare, by the way. But no, it's a beautiful,
Alhamdulillah.
it's a beautiful gift,
Yeah.
and you learn what the gifts that you have when you start seeing other communities, and you become more grateful. But to see
So
this
true, so
community,
true.
honestly, it stands out as far as its dedication, its devotion, despite the many challenges of
yeah.
maybe communities being separated, language barriers. I come here, people speak Dutch, but you guys still hold events in English, and that kind of unifies people. People come from Germany,
Alhamdulillah.
and
yeah.
the UK people showed up. So alhamdulillah, when I say Netherlands, I mean it, man.
Thank you very much, Sayed. Now we take that one for the win. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you, and shout out to the Dutch community.
Of course.
Yeah. And all the communities across the globe who hold the flag of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam.
Inshallah. I mean,
Because we as Shia Muslims take pride in our identity.
of course.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil
Inshallah.
Alameen.
Alhamdulillah.
But like every family, like every community, we face issues, we face difficulties, and we face people in our community, we don't have that pride maybe. We try to change religion, not only in our communities, in our Islam, in the Shia school of thought, but generally Muslims. You have a trend going on, progressive Islam, which is appealing to the new generation. Yani trying to make religion fit in to the modern standard, to the jacket of your daily practices, your daily habits. For example, music is haram, 100%. Black on white, religion says it's haram. But how can I listen to music daily, how can I flex and bend this verse or this hadith to make music halal and fit in my daily schedule, daily habit? Other tries and pursues to try fit in things that are haram or that are forbidden in religion or that are not recommended to your daily standards, to your daily habits. Try to change religion for your own benefits.
Yeah. Progressive Islam, you said it nice, that it's very appealing.
Yeah.
Because right there with the language, it's progressive. And who wants to be backwards? We want to progress in life. We have progress, and progress is a beneficial, positive thing. So even the language, when it's used deliberately. Progressiveness means that you're not held back or bent because of some archaic rules from the Middle East and the 7th century Arabian Peninsula and things like that. You brought the example of music, and it doesn't stop at music.
No.
Progressiveness means whatever doesn't conform to what makes you feel good. Basically, feel good Islam. If it doesn't make you feel good, just do away with it.
Why should I pray?
Do you know what this is called? In basic studies of sociology and psychology, this is hedonism. The pursuing of that which makes you feel
Enjoy.
good. If it makes you feel good, do it.
Do it, yes.
And in Arabic, there's a concept. It goes along the lines of أنت حر ما لا تضر. You are free so long as you don't harm. Do whatever you want, just don't harm others. And that is more of a liberal mentality that in order to be liberated, don't be shackled.
Yes.
Sometimes there are elements, and this is from those who come from that mindset, who believe that there are elements in Islam that shackle me. The music thing, I don't get it.
Yeah.
You know, the
5 times prayer.
It doesn't stop in that.
Yeah.
I wish you could just get there.
Yeah.
Because these things, our youth ask, why is music haram?
Yeah.
But now it's like there's this idea of, no, actually what you thought was haram, without a doubt, can be reread in this manner.
Yeah.
Reinterpreting and rereading the ayat, so then you have homosexuality becoming justified. Because technically, if you look at the ayah in this angle, Lut alayhi salam, didn't say, stop doing what you're doing because the act in of itself is forbidden, engaging in intimacy with the same gender.
Yeah.
Rather, it appeared that he just didn't want to see people enforcing themselves on others. Don't compel others to do this.
Yeah.
What's wrong about that is, well, the ayat don't actually say any of that. The man asks, my daughters are better for you.
Yeah.
Don't do this practice, leave it. And if he's offering his daughters to others who are, imposing themselves, that argument immediately falls. He's saying that this is not the right way to go. I'm willing to even open the discussion that my daughters could be an option for you, instead of attaining your satisfaction from the same gender.
Yeah.
So clearly there's a lack of Arabic fluency.
Yeah.
And people just jump to conclusions because, I need to make Islam conform to my liking. No, Habibi, Islam doesn't revolve around you. You revolve around it. At the end of the day, Allah doesn't need us. Do we need to give Allah 5 prayers for Allah's sake?
It's for us.
They're for us.
Yes.
They benefit us. And there are reasons that are listed. As-salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. It gives rid of evil and vileness.
It humbles us.
It gives us priorities. If you can wake up as strong as you are, Fajr, 4 a.m. every day, then you can conquer anything else. Discipline. There's so much benefit there. And there isn't anything that Allah has forbidden except that it was for our benefit. And there isn't anything that Allah has forbidden except that it was harmful and not for our benefit. So given all of this, the progressive movement has insisted that, listen, it's about what makes you feel good. I would say not all things that make you feel good are in your interest. It feels good to sit around and lounge and eat and not do any movements and not have any emphasis on your general health. And it hurts to go to the gym, but it's better to go to the gym. If it feels good, maybe don't go to it all the time.
It feels good to eat a sack of chips. Eat 3 sacks of chips.
Forget the chips. It feels good to take sometimes hard-line drugs. It feels good to indulge in horrible...
Short-term.
Exactly. Temporarily. It feels good to indulge in hard drinks. The next day, though, your hangover is going to kill you. It feels good to do so many things. There's so many benefits from a feel-good perspective, but not all that feels good is in your interest.
Your benefit,
these spikes of like dopamine, these hits that get you, eventually what goes up must come down. The crash hurts, the guilt, the regret, the gambling, the fast life, all of that. Yeah, it felt good in the moment. But what did it pay off? You paid your sanity, your dignity, your wealth, your general health. Yeah, that felt good. That was worth it, for example.
For the sake of temporarily feeling good.
Exactly. Then again, if you look at why Islam puts barriers on some of these aspects that you listed and insisted on conditions that have to be met, you ultimately do feel good. After the working and putting the effort, one of the best feelings I've had in my life was in 2018, finishing Hajj. It was the most blissful feeling ever. That I just checked from the list of one of the biggest obligations on me. But the whole time I'm doing it, it's like I could see angels.
Subhanallah.
I'm in the haram of Rasulullah. You're in Mecca. Yes, it's becoming like a metropolis, high rises. Nothing can change the spirituality.
Subhanallah.
Kaaba, going to see the ancient places that you only heard about and saw in stories and read about and heard from the lectures, but now you're living the life there. Ziyarah, for example. At the end of it, you just have this blissful moment. You cry from how good you feel.
But in the process, you may be tired. It may be hard.
And even
it may be difficult.
Allah will make it tiring for you, but at the same time, you enjoy it. You know, inna ma'al usr yusra. So it's alongside it. Ma'al usr yusra. Not ba'd al usr yusra.
Within hardship comes ease.
So you're struggling, but you can actually take it.
Definitely.
Because Allah promises, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها.
Sayyidina, how many times I experience myself doing prayers when I'm tired. I'm coming from work or it's late at night. I didn't do my prayers on time, but I have to do it before I sleep. It's still not qaza, but you're very tired. Your body doesn't want to work with you. But when you're in the prayer, you enjoy it. You're talking to your Lord. When you reflect on it, when you delve into it, it's enjoyable. And when you finish, you are happy. You did your thing and your obligation, but at the same time, you enjoyed it.
And the beautiful
you
thing
spoke to your Lord.
Is Allah knows that you're tired.
Yes.
And you still got up to pray, despite your body being fatigued, despite you're just burnt out, you still pray to Allah. Watch what Allah will do for you. You give Him what He wants, Allah's going to give you what you want.
Definitely, definitely. What would you say, because those who pursue the progressive path, the liberal path, trying to make Islam more liberal, trying to be critical, like progressiveness is basically critical about the traditions, the old-fashioned traditions. Yani, is critical thinking promoted, encouraged, or is it discouraged in Islam? In what way? How do we see it? And who is allowed to criticize Islam or criticize the rulings of Islam or the traditions of Islam? Is every Tom, Dick, and Harry يعني, encouraged to criticize Islam? Because we have a saying in Islam, for example, we have La hayat fi din. There is nothing you cannot ask when it comes to religion, when it comes to your obligations.
Right. No, there's no haraj, there's no haya in deen. Absolutely ask in fiqh, because at the end of the day, no one's going to ask on your behalf. If you're concerned about an issue, ask the question. Imam Ali would basically beg people, Saluni qabla an tafqiduni. So ask me before if I'm gone, I'm gone. Who are you going to be able to ask if I'm not around, for example? So no, you're encouraged to ask, but the whole critical thinking component, why not? Yani, if Allah says, يسألونك عن الأهلة, يسألونك عن المحيض, they ask you about the crescent moon and the month and the timing. And they ask you about menstruation, Ya Rasulullah. These are questions people have. And look how Allah divides the spectrum. يسألونك عن الساعة, on the day of judgment. يسألونك عن الروح, on the soul and the spirits. قل الروح من أمر ربي. قل, respond in this manner. So people have questions. It's no issue to have them. And there's no problem in thinking deep on these questions. Now, to start thinking deep, then make proposals and saying these are the standards by which we should now live by, that's where we don't have the jurisdiction to operate, with exception to the mujtahideen. Bahath Kharij in the Hawza, the advanced seminary classes, is when a scholar comes and begins to debate an issue, begins to propose something, begins to do a comparative analysis from a previous opinion that another scholar had, and says, here, this is my opinion. That's Bahath Kharij. The day you become a mujtahid, you can have your own opinions as you can now, you're entitled to them, but then begin to argue that these are the ways we should conduct ourselves. But that's only after you've strived to study the traditions, the traditional jurisprudential origins of usul al-fiqh, and then you come up to a conclusion that I think this manner of doing things in relation to, let's say, the law of continuity, istishab, for example, I think in this issue it doesn't apply anymore. But that's after you've made your research and effort and whatever.
But saying I don't have time to go through that process.
So now who am I and who are you to come and say, if I don't have time to go through the process, well, here's my conclusion anyways. You have to at least make the effort. If you can't, then don't insist that this is the way of living.
But can I have an opinion without the expertise?
You can have your thoughts in regards to the view, in regards to the purpose. You can say, maybe this is why Allah has ordained the following rule, provided the following condition or injunction, but you can't start making rules yourself. You can look at them. You can create a thesis and say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this in the Holy Quran. Why did Allah not outright, for example, banish slavery? Why not? How come when I see verses of the Quran, I see the emancipation, فَكُّ رَقَبَةٍ, You know, the greatest of things is to free that neck which is tied up.
Tied up. Yeah.
Okay. To give the kafara involves also freeing people. But how come there's no outright ban? Here are my theories. Here are my suggestions. The circumstances are like this. Can I say that's the exact reason? Probably not. But here's my take on it.
Yes.
But now if I'm going to say, because of this conclusion, here's now how we should operate. No, Habibi. The day you, inshallah, study your socks off and become a grand scholar to the highest degree, then you can say, here's the new way of life. If you genuinely believe, there's a reason to change anyways. Otherwise, the scholarly material and the seerah of the uqala and those who are of reason, if they see no need to change, there's no need to change.
Yeah.
It's quite clear that an X system is from Allah and it should stay. Khums, zakat, all of these aspects, I can't really deny the fact that it's there. Here comes someone and says, La, not only is khums not a reality for us, Marja'iyya shouldn't even exist anymore. You know,
Definitely.
come up with that.
I think the issue, Sayyidina, sorry to interrupt you. The issue with this progressive trend is trying to fit religion into my worldview, not trying to change my life, change my practices, change my habits to fit into the perfect religion, which is Islam, brought by the most perfect being and creation of Allah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I am used to a certain way of living.
Okay.
What do? I get my religion. I love Islam. I want to be a Muslim, but I want to make my kind of Islam. So I try to take religion, what I love, like you said, the hedonism part. What I love, I take in. It's like cherry pick and choose. I don't like Marja'iyya because I don't understand the system, so I don't take it. But I like that school because they have a fiqh council, for example.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, listen, man. If it's a matter of pick and choose, you're on your own. You're on your own. Because your reason was because I don't understand. So just because you don't understand something, you're just gonna abandon.
I don't understand, or it doesn't fit into my worldview.
Okay, so number one, and I hate to come across as a bit firm, who are you for Islam not fitting in your worldview that you have to remove a whole aspect that millennia of scholarship and scholastic material has written and spoken of, and clearly there's no debate on. But here comes Bob in the 21st century and doesn't feel like it fits with him because he doesn't understand it. This isn't trying to be rough, it's just trying to look at the reality. There are a lot of things we don't understand, Habibi. I would be lying if I said I understood every component.
We don't even understand how our body works, Sayyidina.
Habibi, if you don't understand how your body works, does that mean now you just come and neglect the body? I don't care, I don't understand. To the pancreas, I've never understood it. The pancreas, and it's I don't get it when it's secret. You know what, let me now chow down on high processed carbs and let me destroy my blood sugar levels just because I don't understand it. Abba, you don't have to understand it in order to realize that you must take care of it. Because without it, clearly, it's something that the top doctors and medical experts have said, this is important. I know you don't get it, but just take our advice. Those who don't take care of it end up with type 1, type 2, insulin resistance. I'm just using the pancreas example. Here come the doctors of Sharia and says, listen, maybe you might not understand this, but take our word for it, you need this. To dumb it down, for lack of better words, it goes, and here's the explanation in the following. Here's a hadith, here's a story. But the intricacies of the jurisprudential, legal origins require research, require references, books, literature that I might not be privy to or even familiar with. If you really want to go down that route, we have 2 Islamic seminaries that are golden for this. Go sign up, and inshallah ta'ala, Allah will bless you, and then come up with your own opinions when you receive an ijazah bishad.
Inshallah ta'ala. Go to those seminars. Become someone like Sayed Mohammed Hassan Alsheraa and open your own Insta page.
become a mujtahid.
Inshallah.
Who am I to come and say, but here's my opinion, despite the overwhelming clear facts of the reality of the last 14 centuries. Before that, Islam was there day one with Adam alayhi salam. And here I am. Salah is not gonna be like this anymore because I don't understand it. I think there are confusions. I think people may have had experiences that are not welcoming to this issue, and so perhaps preconceived notions and biases might lead someone to say that I will still accept Allah and God is there, Islam is right, but here are things that have to change. Well, let's have a discussion. you just said yourself, you don't understand it, so you want it to go. Let's understand then.
Understand and ahsan, delve into it. Ahsantum. You mentioned one thing where I want to delve in more to deeper, which is Marja'iyya.
Yeah.
Of course, we have the rise of ChatGPT, and I've seen many scholars talking about why we still need Marja'iyya in spite of having ChatGPT, but because ChatGPT is not the answer to all our questions,
Yeah.
and especially not when it comes to Islamic heritage and knowledge and scholarly projects. But one of the things the youth nowadays ask questions about: why do we need to follow one jurist, one faqih? Why are we limiting ourselves? Because, Sayyidina, just from a layman logical perspective, when we go to a doctor, we get an opinion from the doctor, but we get a second opinion sometimes because we doubt maybe the doctor's conclusion is not the right conclusion. We go to a second one. Or a council of doctors is always better than just one doctor who looks at it. Because at the end, he is one human being, right?
Correct.
And human beings are not ma'soom. They make mistakes.
Correct.
But on the other hand, the grass is always greener on the other side, they say. We have a Marja'iyya system with one marja, with one Islamic jurist we follow. But another school of thought has a fiqh council, for example, Ahl Sunnah.
Yeah.
They have a fiqh council of multiple fuqaha, according to their standards.
Yeah. They have a fuqaha, they
Yeah.
have scholars from their worldview who gather and determine Eid Hilal, the fatwas for new issues that
They all have
rise.
Eid on the same day most of the time.
Yeah.
We don't have it.
That's
Why?
that's the symptom of
Yeah.
having one marja,
Yeah.
right? You raise a good point. It's because look, on the outset, I can understand people might say, well, two heads are better than one, man. If what about three heads? If four people come together and agree on some issue, that's using the power of four great thinkers on one issue.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that issue become more clear? There's more confidence, more strength behind
We
it.
celebrate Eid on the same day.
For example, and then those who come from the non-Shia school of Ahlul-Bayt, like in Saudi Arabia, they have a fiqh council. In Al-Azhar of Egypt, they'll have multiple people come and say, regarding Bitcoin, the following conclusion is the fatwa.
Yeah.
So why don't we have that? The Marja'iyya concept roots itself in the Holy Quran, that if we are ignorant on matters in our life, then we refer back to Ahl al-Ilm. Ahl means the people of knowledge. Now, in life, why can't I take the opinion of multiple of Ahali al-Ilm? Why do I have to bind myself to one? Because no two people in earnest will have the same conclusion. On most issues, they probably will. No one's going to deny the metric of purity in that tahara for certain liquids needs 2 washes of flowing water. Others needs 1, but maybe with like a rinsing. These things are musallam. The ahkam of the Holy Quran are quite clear. So a vast majority of the opinion of the ulama from the school of Ahlul Bayt, whether you look at the Maraja of Najaf or Qum or Tehran or Mashhad, or they may be in Karbala or Baghdad, wherever throughout the centuries, from the likes of Sheikh Tusi all the way Kulaini to the very end, all of them,
there's a consensus on
major consensus.
Yeah.
Now some might say, but how come they have a difference of, does ghusl yawm al-jum'ah compensate for wudu? Khoi had a different opinion than Sayyid Ali Sistani. May Allah bless them and prolong Sayyid Sistani's life and bless all the Maraja that have left us.
Ameen.
In this case, it's because no two scholars in the more comprehensive issues, especially in the newer issues, again, Bitcoin and what have you, cloning and let's say stocks and business related things like of that nature, interest connected concerns jurisprudentially, will have the same what we call al-mabna al-fiqhiyya. They might have a different metric in determining the following fiqh ruling. If their metric differs, their way of istidlal, then they're going to have different conclusions at the end of the day. Get 5 of these people who all have 5 different metrics of determining jurisprudence. How can they agree on one thing if they all have a different way of attaining the conclusion? I'll give an example. Ayatollah Sayyid Al-Khoi had a specific way of validating narrations that would then conclude hadith X is either sahih or da'if or acceptable but not a hujjah on me. Mu'tabar, majhul, etc. Whereas Sayyid Hussein al-Barujurdi, qaddasallahu sirra, before Sayyid al-Khoi by a few years, they also met each other. Sayyid Hussein is a senior to Sayyid al-Khoi, had his own unique approach. He looked at what is called madaq al-shari', the style of the Holy House and the Quran. The spirit of the Holy Quran, the ruh of the Quran. He looked at qara'in, context clues. And he also relied heavily on traditional standards as well. But Sayyid al-Khoi is what we would call sana'i. He really relies on
the chain of narrators.
1 + 1 = 2. If this guy is reported in the early books of biographies as being da'if, if he's found in the hadith is not sahih, man. I'm just going to say that.
Black and white, yeah.
Whereas someone like Sayyid al-Barujurdi will take a different perspective. He's like, yes, but this hadith is also narrated elsewhere in a different way with a sahih chain. So that makes the earlier hadith with a weak chain workable.
Acceptable, yeah.
Workable. Not a hujjah, but workable. And so I'll give an example. There was a narrator who was a companion of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam by the name of Hakim Mu'adhan Bani Isa.
Yes.
Hakim was a narrator, and in the books of Fihrist of al-Najashi, of al-Saduq, of Rijal al-Kishi, these early ulama, the earlier scholars
biographies,
who lived during the times of the Ahlul Bayt had an advantage that mutaakhirin ulama didn't have, which is they had access to the possibly great-grandchildren of the Sahaba. They met some of the companions of the Imams. They had resources that later scholars didn't have. So when they research and they put people in their encyclopedias of biography, Fulan individual so-and-so is muwathaq because we've studied his life, because of the access of resources that I have, that you don't have the privilege of having because you were just born in a different time period. We concluded that he is very reliable. This guy, Hakim, Mu'adhan Bani Isa, all the earlier resources of biography said he's majhul. Majhul from the term jahl, we're not sure. We're not saying he's weak, but we're not saying
it's
he's
unknown.
Exactly. But we're not saying he's also muwathaq. We can't throw a conclusion on it, a definite
There is a big question mark on it.
Question mark, yeah. We haven't seen anything bad, but we haven't seen anything good. So we don't know what to say.
So what was the conclusion?
Sayyid al-Khoi looks at this man and says, I've seen your narrations. You're in a chain that narrates a hadith about khums, ya Hakim. The rest of the people in the chain are strong and reliable, but you're majhul. For that reason, the hadith is not da'if. It's just not a hujjah. It's not binding on me. Allah's not going to ask, why didn't you follow that hadith? So I'm just going to do away with it. Sayyid Barujurdi has a different approach. Barujurdi says, wait, while I use the early mutaqaddimin scholars during the time of Ahlul Bayt, Najashi, Kishi, Saduq, Tusi, etc., and I do look at their opinion in regards to determining whether X, Y, and Z is reliable or not, I have context clues that give me a different conclusion about Hakim. What? Look at his name just first of all. His name is Hakim Mu'adhan Bani Isa. Mu'adhan, the guy that gives adhan. Number one, he was a mu'adhan. Back then, the guys that did adhan are not like the same people today who just make the adhan.
They get paid.
It's a position. It's a job.
Respectable.
You have to wake us up. You have a responsibility. If you don't do adhan and scream loud on the minara,
should be a trustworthy person.
Then we're not going to pray. So we're going to pay you. So he's trusted enough to wake people up for salah. They trusted him on awqat as-salah. Well, they can't trust him on hadith then? If he's reliable on prayer timing, at least he's reliable. You can just conclude he's reliable on being someone who's always, they say the meeting is 9:30, he's there 9:29. He's like that. Furthermore, he's a mu'adhin for who? Mu'adhin Bani Isa. Bani Isa is a Shia family. I believe from Kufa. So he's a adhan maker for a Shia family. So what does that make him? Is he an Asabi? Clearly he's probably a Shia. Furthermore, Sayyid Barujurdi says, look at the metin, the content of what he's narrating. Sayyid Khoi says, I don't care about what the metin is. If the hadith chain is weak or is not all sahih in my standards, the metin doesn't apply to that. Who cares about it? It's irrelevant. Sayyid Barujurdi says, no, I need to look at the metin. The content of what he's narrating indicates to me if he's reliable or not. So Barujurdi looks at the chain and he looks at the content. He looks both directions. He then says he's only narrating a hadith about khums. Ahlul Bayt would not narrate khums issues to non-Shia because it's very sensitive. The government uses the discussion of khums as a threat, collecting money, and the money goes to the imam. That's a threat to the government. And so he only narrates about khums. That's another clue. Furthermore, look at the hadith. Is it what he's saying? Is this sahih or not? As in, is what he's saying, Imam Sadiq said the following. Is that something Imam Sadiq said in regards to the legal aspects of what he said? It is. So not only is he narrating true things, he's reliable in the sense of salah timing. He works with a Shia family. The earlier scholars didn't say he's weak. And they didn't say he's reliable, but they just we don't know. In my conclusion, he's sahih. He's muwathaq. He's a thiqah. And I will use his ahadith whenever I see him as well. So Khoi has a strong point. Khoi says, what, you don't think the Najashi and Saduq thought about all of that? You think they didn't see his name and said, okay, he's a mu'adhin, he must. They probably saw all that, Ya Sayyidina al-Barajurdi. But they still made that conclusion. Maybe they had other reasons. So I will stay firm on my opinion. If what they said, I will apply. Barajurdi, you say that I have context clues. It makes a lot of good sense.
Yeah.
Both of them have a strong, do you agree? Both of them have a strong argument.
Very different, yeah.
Both of them are so strong in their claims.
Yeah.
Put them both in a fiqh council now.
Yeah.
Forget two. Put 5 of them in a fiqh council. Each one has his own mabna or metric of jurisprudence. And see, can they agree on the same exact thing? Can they? That's why.
Nearly impossible. Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah.
That's why, especially on newer issues.
Yes.
That is why, if you have 5 scholars and they're all told to, hey, use your reasoning, your ijtihad, come to a conclusion on this issue, how are you going to force them to have the same conclusion? And if they issue a fatwa, at least half of them are going to say, that's not reflective of my opinion.
Yeah.
But you're going to issue it in my name as well. You as an adherer to this fatwa, are you in good conscience, comfortable knowing that that fatwa isn't representative of Ahl al-Ilm? How can you live your life feeling, at least that fatwa is out there in my interest. It wasn't even accepted by half of the guys on the board, for example.
Yeah.
For that reason, we can't have a fiqh council. We can have councils on social issues.
Yes.
We can have councils on modern decisions that concern society, community, but on the intricacies of usul al-fiqh, it's a complicated one. Sayyid Ali Sistani, by the way, he studied under both of these ulama.
MashaAllah,
He has the Sana'iyya of Sayyid al-Khoi and the Madaq al-Shari' or al-Qara'in of Sayyid al-Barajurdi, and together he uses both of these aspects. That's why in his book by our teacher, Sayyid Munir al-Khabbas, Hafidhullah, in Al-Rafid fi Ilm al-Usul, many of his opinions involve Sayyid al-Khoi and involve Sayyid Barajurdi. His, for example, definition of Usul al-Fiqh is not the same definition of Sayyid al-Khoi. Even though he got ijazah ijtihad from Ayatollah Khoi, his opinion of Usul al-Fiqh, the meaning and definition, is Barajurdi's. Al-Hujjah fi al-Fiqh.
Amazing.
Ta'rif ilm al-Fiqh, Usul al-Fiqh is Al-Hujjah fi al-Fiqh. Al-Hujjah means the proof of fiqh is the definition of Usul al-Fiqh. That's Barajurdi's opinion. But he takes so much of Sayyid al-Khoi's opinions as well. That's Sayyid Ali Sistani. Now take him and bring another alim from Qum, Ayatollah Shaykh Wahid al-Khurasani, who has his own style. Okay, throw them in a fiqh council, add 5 more scholars in good heart. Could you say they'll agree to the same exact thing? No.
Nearly impossible.
No.
But how can we not do it and the Sunni school of thought can't? What's the difference?
There's going to be a lot of conforming. There's going to be a lot of conforming. Okay, I'll just conform to the majority. It'll be a shura, a democracy. This was the fiqh ruling by Allah based on democracy.
So would you say they're more flexible on giving in, on accepting?
As much as I have utmost respect to all ulama, by the way, all ulama of the Quran, ulama of fiqh, ulama of usul al-fiqh, absolutely. Absolutely. You have to say, is this reflective? Fiqh is what? It's not just rules, it's God's expectation.
Expectation, yes.
Are you sure that this is reflective of God or is it reflective of a majority? We don't want saqifa or a micro saqifa to happen just because the majority felt. I don't want to hear that anymore. So, exactly.
Ahsantum, Sayyidina al-Aziz. We enjoyed this thoroughly. And
it was a bit detailed, I understand.
A bit detailed, very, very, very detailed. But alhamdulillah, I think the viewers got an idea of how Marja'iyya works and why a fiqh council will only take much longer to come to conclusions and decisions.
And you can only appreciate, Ya Sayyidina, the efforts of our ulama. Look how they think. One looks at context, one looks at reports, one looks at
very
this.
detailed.
So,
Very
and by this was just a scratch of the surface summary. There's so many
Tip
things.
of the
take,
iceberg.
So
Yeah,
many
so
things to
many
take into
things.
consideration.
That's why most of our fuqaha take life, yani sacrifice their whole lifetime
That's why Marja'iyya.
to create one book of fiqh.
That's why our Marja'iyya. You become Marja'iyya, it's more likely you're like 70 minimum.
70
Minimum when you're a Marja'iyya. And here comes someone on the banner of progressive Islam. And not only does he say we need to change Islam, his reason isn't because he looked at Najashi Shia, it's because I don't understand it, so let's change it.
It doesn't fit into my worldview.
How can you sleep at night knowing that it's because you didn't understand it, that the deen now needs to change? You give me fired up, Sayyidina.
MashaAllah. And Sayyidina, how can you sleep at night when you use religion in your favor and you abuse religion? Like we have many examples of people who use the banner of religion, of Islam, such a beautiful religion, to abuse, to oppress.
Unfortunately.
For example, of course, we have the issue Israel-Palestine, where Party A uses religion for the holy line to justify genocide. You have Daesh justifying killing of innocent people. On the other hand, you have people justifying Mutah abuse because it's religion.
Justifying Mutah abuse.
Justifying using Mutah. In a using it and practicing it in a manner which shouldn't be, which isn't recommended, which isn't the way, because Mutah abuse is also Mut'ah. Mut'ah, the practice of Mut'ah, the temporary marriage, is nowadays looked down upon. That's maybe also due to the progressiveness, the critical thinking.
Progressive Islam doesn't like Mut'ah,
And because it doesn't fit in today's worldview.
It needs to fit.
Just like having 4 wives.
It needs to fit in a Judeo-Christian, Anglo-Saxon, European, American style. Otherwise, I'm not accepting it.
Yeah. Because recently, I think a couple of years ago, we had a BBC documentary about Mut'ah happening in Iraq. And also in the UK, I believe. It was highlighted.
Right.
And we nowadays, in this day and age, in the TikTok age, we have a influencer who is promoting Mut'ah. He says he put Mut'ah on the map.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to call him. Unfortunately, he is putting himself on a pedestal of being a Shia representative. Unfortunately, but he is not. He definitely isn't. But he portrays himself as that. And what do we have to say about Mut'ah? Abusing Mut'ah? Influencers who talk and who portray themselves as Shia Muslims, but putting Shiism in a bad daylight.
I'll start from the end.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think even if people go public about what they want to do in life, what you do privately is none of my business. But if you decide to be public, expect a public response. You put yourself public, for example. And at the same time, many people like to be maybe inflammatory for purposes of a brand. And I don't even think some of these brothers or sisters, let's just cut the chase, it's brothers usually.
That's a brother. What brother?
Brother Mo Deen.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Mo Deen.
May Allah bless him and protect him and all those who are out there from the Shia of Amir al-Mu'mineen. I don't imagine people are saying, or he's advocating that, hey, I'm a representative of Shi'ism.
No, he maybe didn't say it in literal words.
I'm a Shia.
But he put himself in that position. Going to Speaker's Corner.
Okay.
And talking about Shia Hadith, talking about Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq.
What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
But doing it in a way where you are being made fun of. Not only didn't you win the discussion, you didn't give us a W, but you put us to shame in a way, unfortunately.
Yeah, listen. So one thing we need to remember is every person will be judged by Allah individually as a case study. Allah is not going to hold me responsible because of someone else's actions and behavior. So I'm not too worried about other people and how they represent and what they do and what they decide to do on their daily basis and their hobbies and things of that
No,
nature.
of course not. Of
At the
course
same time, let's not shy away. Mut'ah is in our deen. It's in the Quran. فَمَا اسْتَمْتَعْتُمْ بِهِ مِنْهُنَّ فَآتُوهُنَّ أُجُورُهُنَّ فَرِيضًا. We have the narrations. We have the second caliph banning it. It's definitely a reality. There's no shadow of doubt. Now, if someone wants to engage in it in a professional manner whereby there is no deception, our issue is in deception. We'll go back to our dear brother who we spoke about just now. But our issue in light of abuse, you mentioned, the BBC nonsense and things of that nature, is we will be the first to say and call out that you're not allowed to coerce or deceive people into doing anything, especially if it comes to using the excuse of deen to get what you want to accomplish.
Of course.
It has to be a consensual, mutually accepted decision, and I see no shame in that. Hookup culture is promoted in the United States, in Europe as well.
Yes.
You know, here's a one-night stand and we're done with things.
Without boundaries,
without rules, without conditions.
Yeah.
At the very least, if done in metrics that are halal, number one, you don't have the anger of Allah being imposed. I don't want that. I want the rida of Allah in whatever I am doing. Number two, Allah understands, like Allah understands everything, that the human being will go through phases in life where complications will be such that marriage permanently may not be an option. And we're not going to judge people. If people might have certain reasons.
Yes.
People might have complications that will prevent them from ever marrying permanently, but temporary marriage might be suitable. I even heard, and we'll go back to Iraq in a minute, that there was, with Daesh and the advent of Daesh, you had many women from the well, that's a disgusting example where from the extremists, they would say, I am allowed to sleep with as many women as I can, and it's shar'i because I am a mujahid in the way of Allah, i.e. jihad and nikah. That's straight up zina in multiple levels.
Far away from the school of Ahl.
No, what I was saying is, alhamdulillah, what I was saying is that there were cases of many of these who had to flee, but many mu'mineen would give up their homes so that they would stay.
Yes.
But life in a house where you had all these refugees essentially was complicated. So they would all conduct temporary marriage with conditions of no intimacy, such that they could live comfortably in the home. What's wrong with that? There were cases of this well-known millionaire in Baghdad who gave up his house to host Yazidi women who then converted, Christian women from Mosul, and brought them in, and he conducted zawaj with them without any form of intimacy, because this is a condition you could stipulate in the wakala or the prenuptial agreement, such that they could live in his house like sisters. Comfortably, no issue. He's like, I couldn't do that while I have my wife and maneuver and have them comfortably live in my home. So we decided to make our lives a bit more convenient. No one violated any conditions. No one disrespected Allah or themselves or others. And so there's a use applicable right here. Or before people get married permanently, they say, let's put with conditions
to get
a
to know each other.
temporary marriage just for purposes of an engagement period. In Islam, we don't have such a thing as an engagement
period.
where it's like they were boyfriends and girlfriend, then they're engaged, then they're married. It goes from you're non-mahram to now you're mahram. Weddings are all optional.
Yes.
And it's all to protect, especially the women's side.
It's to protect the sister who's going to stick with a person for the rest of her life. And in this circumstance, she needs to know, are you someone worthy or are you someone not? Her father or even herself decided to say, my conditions are, in this get to know each other phase, is that there will be no intimacy, but we can comfortably gather in private just to be able to discuss your future, where do you see yourself in 5 years? In this case, mut'ah, marriage, mut'ah marriage, provide a safe space. And even if someone wants to entertain it just for intimacy purposes, at the end of the day, that's why it was revealed. Sahih Bukhari talks about Jabir bin Abdullah al-Ansari and the companions in the expeditions and the wars. They said, Ya Rasulullah, it's hard to maintain ourselves. We'll just be honest, we're men. But we're so devoted to God Almighty, we're even considering to castrate ourselves. So I was like, that's insane. No, Allah has allowed you the temporary marriage. Do that and get it over with. And even there, if there's a kid born, the nafaqah is now obligatory. You must maintain that. You must respect the lady, give her the dowry, give her a certain
So
time
many
period.
rules and regulations.
Exactly. Now, if someone wants to come and be an influencer about this, I honestly don't see a problem if it's done in a way that is befitting. If it's befitting. This is our Sharia. What do you want me to say? Hide it? I'm sorry, I'm embarrassed. No.
أحسنت.
I'm an unapologetic, proud Shia. Yeah, if someone wants to be a character about it, why would you judge a whole crowd based on the actions of a
May Allah
student?
subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us all. But Sayyidina, about the influencers part.
Sure.
Of course, they are free to portray themselves how they want and to set a standard and to say what they want. They're free, completely free human beings. But the point is, Sayyidina, we have a saying of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam for the Shia, for us, for the followers of Ahlul Bayt, giving us a way of life, giving us standards. Like he says, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, كونوا دعاة لنا بغير ألسنتكم. Invite us without using your tongue.
Invite people to us without using your tongue. Use your akhlaq.
Yani your akhlaq, the way you portray yourself, you behave, you conduct yourself. And another beautiful saying, Imam Sadiq, all his sayings are beautiful, of course.
As always, yeah.
He says, كونوا زينا لنا ولا تكونوا شينا. Don't be a shame for us. Be an adornment for us. Be a jewel, a pearl for us. In the way you conduct yourself, you behave. So when someone, like the brother we mentioned before.
Shout out to Brother Mo Deen.
Shout out to Brother Mo Deen. Give us some like and subscribe to Mo Deen. And maybe share this because you have a big platform. No, I'm just kidding. But
may Allah bless.
The way you portray yourself, the way you conduct yourself on social media, on such a big platform, it's very important. And when you come in Al-Kafi, Imam Sadiq says this, but on the other hand, you wear a balaclava, and the way you portray yourself, the way you say things about Deen, about Mutah.
So what do you think? What, you think that's not a zayn for?
That's definitely not a zayn, Sayyid.
Well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Maybe that's subjective. Maybe,
so you find it beautiful?
Well, maybe the one portraying it finds it beautiful. Are we going to force, hey, you can't do it our way, my way?
No. But maybe we as followers of this school, of this community, he's part of our community, whether we want it or not. Is he?
And we want it.
We want it. Ahsan, we want it. But shouldn't we do some, amr bil ma'roof wa nahy anil munkar?
Yani, look, I think everyone's free to do what they want. And if someone feels that I'm actually contributing to the way of Ahlul Bayt, maybe you go on a major podcast because of the character you built and then start speaking قال الصادق قال الباقر, for example. Maybe that's my way of doing da'wah and tabligh in the 21st century. And I think people know how to differentiate what is a true representation of here's a da'i for Ahlul Bayt, and here's someone that likes to make a career as an influencer and be funny. Is being funny haram? No. Is being someone who's an influencer through ways, I would say, not to use Ahlul Bayt as stepping stones. Because you said a hadith in a funny manner, that's disrespectful. But even I think the brother himself knows that as well. I haven't seen disrespect towards Ahlul Bayt.
No, that's
I've not seen that. I've just seen a person who's a funny man. My deen, I'm on a
who
man.
happens to be a Shia.
Yeah. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Personally, I see no issue in. I think we need more influencers. Why not?
But please, not more influencers like Mo Deen. With all due respect to Mo Deen.
Why not? I like the side that you're taking. No, let's have this conversation. What are your thoughts on what if this is what it takes to get on the big leagues, and in that moment we can now bring in the teachings of Ahlul Bayt? But it took me being a comedian. I'm not endorsing this. I'm not, by the way. I'm just saying Tim Pool is a big podcaster. Millions follow him. Our dear brother got on Tim Pool. How? By saying, I put Mutah on the map, being funny, and then he begins doing a sharh of what Mutah is, end of times, he begins talking about that. Is that not worth it?
No.
Is that?
No. Why? Because, he came on a big platform.
Okay.
He got the clout.
Everyone heard for the first time Al-Mahdi.
May Allah bless him for getting the clout and mentioning Al-Mahdi in a big podcast.
Okay.
But would someone like you say it now, see him on a podcast, and he's saying Al-Mahdi, would he affect you or influence you in a positive way?
Maybe.
Or would you think by yourself, this guy is talking about that?
Yeah.
I want to stay far away from that.
Maybe I'm not his target audience. Maybe his target audience are some of the brothers and sisters in that culture of
So now I think it's good to have influence, to reach a major platform, to reach a major audience.
Yeah.
But I would prefer someone like Brother Mehdi Hassan.
Mehdi Hassan, he's
Yeah.
in the political journalism world.
Yes,
And by the way, can also be controversial to some as well. You
of
took a
course.
political side,
He
took a
is.
side.
He is.
Um,
But the way he conducts himself,
Sure.
I would take something from Mehdi
You're
Hassan.
talking about the professionalism.
Professionalism. The way he is a role model. He can be a role model for my children.
Mo Deen is not a role model for your children?
I respect you, Mo Deen. Wallah, I do. I don't know you personally. And this is not an attack. But this is because you conduct yourself in a way. You are on social media. So we are on social media too. So we talk about you. As a lesson. For myself first.
We're having a discussion about him
yeah.
because of how effective he was on being influential.
Yeah.
And he's a Shia man.
Yes, yes.
And he's talking about some very controversial things.
Yeah.
Mutah between us is controversial sometimes.
Yes.
Okay? Now he's putting it on the map, as according to him, right?
Definitely.
And I think it's worth that discussion to have. Maybe it helps. He's helping get the ball rolling. You know what? I think we need more influencers.
Definitely.
I think, like you say, we need people that can do things in a more formal manner and maybe informal manner. But if it doesn't float my boat, then
But the formal and informal has boundaries.
it does. It does. It does.
It has a standard.
It absolutely does. But you know what the standards are? It's haram halal.
Definitely.
Haram halal. If in between you want to be a goofball,
I think even makruh and mustahab, you should add it in
absolutely. But bro, if people find something makruh, they're still doing it. Hey, it's not haram.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, and may Allah bless all of our brothers.
For example,
and
eating
sisters.
that fried chicken, huh, Sayyidina?
Oh, fried chicken.
It's makruh to eat chicken.
I've only been
according-
eating Kabuli palau.
Habibi, Sayyidina.
Mm.
But what would you, to finish the topic of, we started with Mutah abuse. and
Sure.
Then Mo Deen came in
Yeah.
as the,
Bless.
him, yeah. So what would you say, what would your last words be about the Mutah abuse?
Anyone that abuses sisters, look, it's gonna be this way.
Yeah.
Men will abuse sisters in some cases
Yes.
by deceiving them into maybe getting into a relationship, and
Yeah.
perhaps the sister had other expectations in that relationship. On one hand, the sister should always be clear of what her intentions are and be transparent. Listen, I need to know what's going on here. Are we getting married permanently, or is this something that is going to be a short while? And also, if I'm not independent in my affairs, you have to talk to my father here.
Ahsant.
You have to see, and I doubt he's going to approve. Is this, and I've heard some small examples, but they are really specks in an ocean. But when they come, they're blown over proportion. Like the BBC documentary,
Yes.
it's like, let's find a bad relationship and say, hey, this relationship had the element of mut'ah. Mut'ah must be evil.
Evil,
It's not like the guy was evil. It's mut'ah that's evil. Like how we brought examples of someone using it for a purpose that was humane to help people, but he's like, I'm not interested in marrying these women permanently. Let's do temporary for a certain period until they can get out and live on their own, but without any physical intimacy being involved, because I'm already happily married. This was a case that was documented and reported on Al-Iraqiyya news channel in Baghdad. This can happen. People that want to get to know each other. The concept of mut'ah has its effects, has its benefits, and even in the world of, listen, maybe permanent marriage is not going to work out.
Definitely. Yeah.
Temporary marriage is all I want to be able to do. And if there's mutual consent, and,
Why not? Yeah.
and agreeing, what's the problem? Why
What's
is
the
it any of
problem?
your business, my business?
Yeah, of course.
Yani, I know people will say, point fingers. This is what happens in the Shia world. Did you forget what happens in the non-Shia world? Do you forget what happens in modern society?
Yes.
Hookup culture. Someone leaves, and then the other day there's like a "you are not the father" DNA results come across. In our worldview, here's a concept: anything that's abused is haram.
Haram. Ahsant.
The two sides need to be fully transparent and clear
Essential.
with what's going on. It's for this long, and if you don't want me to do X, Y, and Z, let's make it clear from now.
Ahsant.
And that's the case.
Beautiful.
I think the taboo behind this needs to go away.
Beautiful safe
It's
spaces.
part of our deen. Let's own up to it and be proud and happy, inshallah ta'ala.
And the takeaway message, Sayyidina, what we all can agree on, don't take your religion from BBC documentaries.
Unfortunately, don't take your religion from the news at all today.
Don't take anything from BBC. Because
Take your weather. Take your weather. Take the sport
the
updates.
football news, yeah.
Soccer. Okay. Take all of that.
Match of the day, I love it.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's not your business to get into religion. Leave that to the scholars.
Ahsant.
And if there's an actual scandal or case or conspiracy happening, it makes for a good story. Do your story objectively. Don't say, hey, here's one bad example I found in Baghdad. If you listen to this, watched it, I saw it. They brought 3 examples. A common denominator is the guy was just a
course.
trash human being.
course.
and decided to deceive a lady. But it's instead of blaming the guy, so let's blame their religion and say, Sistani, why don't you do anything? Make a statement, for example. Hello, men can be horrible.
Yeah.
Islam is perfect. Muslims are not.
Ahsantum, Sayyid.
And may Allah condemn anyone who uses Islam and abuses others in the name of our deen.
Yeah,
As such,
Sayyid.
may Allah condemn.
It's BBC, bro. Why should they be positive about Shiism? it's BBC. But Sayyidina, we talked about a variety of topics, but there are more to come. And one of the most important is oppression, which is very relevant in this day and age for multiple reasons. You have many countries where nowadays oppression is just the norm, unfortunately. Not one country, you have many countries where oppression is the norm, but not every country is highlighted as such, unfortunately, is in the news as such. But one thing that is outstanding, and you see a trend, is the way our community, the school of Ahlul-Bayt alayhim salam, is conducting itself, is standing up when it comes to oppression. And why is it that, for example, let's zoom into Palestine, where a great genocide is happening. Why are mostly Shias loud? And why are they standing up for Palestine at the forefront?
Up?
Yeah.
You're right. You know, I guess while others are busy building their high rises and staging boxing matches, multi-million-dollar contracts, and buying soccer players in the hundreds of millions of dollars, their Muslim neighbor is crying, anyone out there? And the only response are from those that call out Labbayka Ya Hussein, be them from the south of Lebanon. And by the way, our sympathies go to those in the Junub of Lebanon, for they currently endure a great suffering.
Definitely, yes.
Or from Iraq, or from Iran, or from Afghanistan, or from Yemen, wherever it may be. At the forefront of any type of injustice, you always find, and I'm going to say it like it is, that the Shia is always the one who has to save the day. And it's because we don't tolerate injustice, because in our story and in our timeline, we saw no day like the day of Imam al-Hussein. And because his was the peak, everything else we won't tolerate. If the day of Hussein is the peak of what can be the ultimate form of injustice and oppression against the holy household, everything beneath that, I will never tolerate. And for that reason, when we hear Muslims being oppressed in Palestine and elsewhere, we should be at the forefront. My only comment about this is, as great as the issue of Palestine is, as diabolical as the Zionist entity can be, we should never compartmentalize and put our outrage selectively. That's not selective outrage. If we're going to stay true to that, then there were some Shia in Parachinar, Afghanistan, that were also killed, men massacred a month ago, barely any noise. There were some Hazara in a bus that were ambushed by the entity there and killed in Afghanistan, that were killed in areas like Kabul and near Herat and even Mazar al-Sharif.
But who speaks about it?
But the outrage is not there.
Oman, there was a shooting in Oman in the month of Muharram.
That killed the believers in Oman, and was relatively a open and safe country for all people to live and walk. Omani Shia lives don't matter, apparently. The blood of a Hazara Afghani don't matter. I think the Hazara blood doesn't matter. And that's not, I'm not talking to my Shia, I'm talking to the whole world. You said BBC, where the heck are you? Narrate, report. You have enough time to make a documentary about Mutah in Iraq.
Yeah.
You have nothing better to do, and you send
but not about the killing of innocent lives.
A coward recorder to go to Iraq, and a journalist. But when was the last time you sent someone to go and see the abuse that's happening to women?
In Afghanistan.
In Afghanistan.
Yes.
The lack of education.
The beheading of Pakistani Shias.
Pakistani Shias.
Like sheeps.
Yeah, it's as if their blood is so cheap. As Shia Muslims, and many have, by the way, Sayyidina, have stood up and said, I'm not going to have selective outrage. The same way I complain about the injustice and oppression that happens to my brothers and sisters in Palestine, I'm also not going to tolerate anything like that happens to anyone in Afghanistan, in Oman, in Iraq, in Iran, wherever it may be.
Ahsantum.
And I don't know what is the motive behind some of this? Sometimes it could be trendy. It's
Mm.
trendy
It is,
to be
it is.
loud about one
It
passion,
is.
one issue than the other.
Like, for example, when we now zoomed in Palestine, there is a genocide happening in Palestine, but Israel is attacking South Lebanon as well.
Exactly.
But I don't see Shia and non-Shia that much loud about South Lebanon as about Palestine. What is happening, Sayyidina? And one thing I don't agree with you completely, Sayyidina,
Okay.
and give me the permission
you're
to disagree.
permission
Habibi.
granted.
That as mostly don't allow this selective outrage, as you said beautifully, but most of the majority, I would say majority, in my opinion, in my view, majority of Shia, when something is happening in Afghanistan, and I take my own, for example, my own, how do you say that? My own Insta page, my own feed, as an example. When there is something happening in Palestine, as should be, you see every story circled. You see my feed is full of Palestine. But when something is happening in Afghanistan, Parachinar, Pakistan, Kashmir, be it Oman, be it Yemen, I don't see that much happening on the stories. I don't see that much happening on the feed. Unfortunately, why is that? As if we as Shias do not highlight the oppression happening to our own selves, to our own community, why should we expect from someone outside of the school of Ahlul-Bayt alayhim salam to care for our blood?
Ahsant. There's nothing that we disagree. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think, again, that's selective outrage. There's this
But we
issue.
as Shias do selective outrage as well.
I agree.
We are guilty.
No, absolutely. I
Yeah.
agree. I think on one hand, having husn al-dhan is also important. I'm not saying that if someone shows outrage here but doesn't hear, that doesn't mean they don't have outrage. Maybe it just doesn't mean they didn't post. You know, I can have that husn al-dhan, but it's the volume that I'm noticing as well.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, maybe you, maybe him, maybe her, but the overwhelming majority and the volume of how many people have expressed we need justice here, because this is an area where there's a lot of injustice, is not at all, doesn't matter. It is absolutely irrelevant almost. You mentioned the Omani situation. I like one or two people I saw, and my page, alhamdulillah, it has a substantial base, you could say, with the following and the engagement, and so I'm able to see who's expressing something, who's not.
Definitely, yeah.
And sadly, it's not. But here's the other thing. In reality, the issue of Palestine is a very large issue because it's been ongoing. But that doesn't mean what's going on elsewhere hasn't been ongoing for a long time. There's journalism here. Maybe in some of these places, there's very few journalism. Racism hasn't gotten worse. It's just getting recorded. And if there was a guy that had his neck suffocated by a knee in Minnesota, not have that incident recorded, as is the case with someone like George Floyd, then we wouldn't have had this outrage, the hate that we see towards the injustice and the oppression. And I think there's maybe more resources that can provide more coverage for some of these issues concerning Israel and Palestine, because Israel concerns the West a lot, and Palestine concerns a majority of the Muslim world. But us, as Shia, we shouldn't look at what concerns the West, what concerns nothing. Our role will be different.
Yes.
Our role is, Baba, is there oppression happening to innocent people? I'm going to be loud about it. I'll be loud, I don't care. That person that bleeds in Afghanistan is just as valuable as the person who bleeds in Yemen, just as valuable as the person that bleeds in Syria, Lebanon, and in Palestine. But one tends to have more coverage because many people concern themselves. Hey, you know what? Our duty is to protect Israel, and we're going to bring so many cases to cover Israel and how they're oppressed. And so now Muslims have to show, wait, what do you mean you're oppressed? We are simply just showing you, you occupied our land.
Yeah.
So now there's so much to discuss and talk about. It can come across as, why are you only focusing about this? Well, because now it's a major point in school. There's even classes, the Israel-Palestine conflict, that I even have to take. But I haven't taken the Afghani, Taliban conflict, right? Because there's no class on that. And at the same time, that's just media.
Yeah.
And I think where I also now agree with you is us as Shia need to do more on media
Yeah.
so that these can become mainstream
Mainstream
discussions.
discussions.
That's
أحسنتم.
where we lacked, and I think we can do it.
We can do
We
it.
can do it.
Instahlulbayt is a major example.
It's just a drop in the
MashaAllah.
ocean, and inshallah ta'ala, this podcast is also another, but these drops can turn into a tsunami.
Tsunamis, oceans, inshallah wa ta'ala.
Inshallah, habibi.
Pacific oceans. But I think as Shias, Muslims, we talked about critical thinking and being critical.
Yeah.
I think we are allowed. I'm not an alim, you're an alim, mashallah. But
Not at all.
I'm just a layman, but I think we can be critical of our own household, of our own house.
Yeah, we can.
When we go inside the house, we can be critical and we can look and have critical thinking. Because why mostly Shia are standing up for Palestine and why they are neglecting and show selective outrage towards the blood of their own Shias, as maybe also to do, and may people not blame me to say this, but this is, in my opinion, what is also a major cause for this selective outrage is the symbol of Shiism in today's world. There's one country which is like a powerful Shia country, and that's Iran. The symbol, if we put it on a map, the symbol of Shiism is Iran.
No, the symbol of Shiism on a national level.
On a national level
Maybe.
is Iran. Yeah. That's what I mean. Iran is not like the symbol for Shiism, like you said. It's just on a national level and it's on the map. When we divide it into countries, Iran is the majority Shia population, a country which is the majority Shia population, and it conducts itself as the Islamic Republic of Iran, which has fuqaha leading the country, Shia jurists leading the country. And what they do, very good, is standing out for Palestine, highlighting the oppression happening in Palestine. But what they don't do, what they neglect and undermine, unfortunately, and undervalue, is what is happening in their neighboring country. People are dying there every day as well. Another neighboring country, Pakistan, Muslims are dying there as well, being oppressed by the government, being oppressed by militants. Why is that not highlighted? And I think because Iran sets that standard, maybe, the people who follow the jurists in Iran, who follow Iran, who see Iran as their proud, their country which is majority Shia, take that example and follow.
There are a few things to unpack here.
Yeah.
Number one, in that Iran became a symbol of Shiism on a national level.
Yeah.
It's not Iran's fault that it has a majority of Shia.
Definitely.
And we're always going to be team Tashayyu. Wherever we go.
Definitely. I love Iran and I love Iranian food. And I love Imam Riza alayhi salam.
Salamullahi alayhi. And the Iranian people gain their motivation from it.
And we have a lot of to thank for Iran and the Iranian heritage, because most of our scholars are.
Absolutely. And alhamdulillah, for that ni'mah, that is the Islamic Republic in these regards.
Definitely.
But were we expecting an infallible country?
No.
We were not going to expect that even in the nation of Rasulullah, when he has to sallallahu alayhi wa dispatch deputies to represent him in Yemen, as is the case of Khalid ibn al-Walid, and failing in that mission miserably.
Yes.
To which Rasulullah dispatches the Ma'soom Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, and then they see that his approach is a lot more kind and humane. Let us consider, and Yemen falls to the way of Islam because of the conduct of Ahlul Bayt. In that case, it shows you the example that, look, number one, do I completely know what goes on behind the scenes? I actually have no idea. It's not like they're also going to tell you what happens publicly.
Of course not.
And they're like, we're in a situation where who's to say I am not trying our hardest, or we're trying our hardest to help the Shia neighboring by Pakistan. Maybe we've sent millions of aid. Do we need to publicize that, for example, the good that we do? Our neighbor happens to be an entity that the United States could not even take over, could not even finish. Well, you think we're going to be able to take it? Maybe let's do a contract of a sort that shows, listen, you don't hit us, we don't hit you. There are Shia in your country, they concern us as well, leave them alone. But you're dealing with a group of people who they decide whatever they want to decide. In the case as is with the establishment of Taliban. And Iran, alhamdulillah, with the beauty that it has to offer, with the gems that it has, is always on the map because of an incident or two that occurs. Whether it's like the morality police, which in my humble opinion is not a wise entity. It's not.
Yeah.
You can't force deen on other people. This
لا
was
إكراه في الدين.
this wasn't done even by the vision of the likes such as Imam Khomeini. Here's a decision, here's a president. He's like, you know, we need to have this.
Yes.
Back in the early 2000s, for example. And okay, the end result is what? The end result is people saying, I'm going to rebel now. The Islamic attire is not a thing. Initially, you may have seen people saying, we want a religious based and ruled society. What do you want? You want us to live like Americans? You want us to live like Canadians? We're all Shia Muslims. And so the law and the rule will be put in the following. 98.5% made that referendum vote. Wilayat Al-Faqih will be the way of life that we have. Then sanctions kick in. Then sanctions come more. Nuclear deals are then revoked and destroyed. Yeah. And there you have all these issues that come. And that's, you know, we've said it clearly. Here's a concern that is threatening Muslims who are non-Shia. Miles away, it's going to concern us. But now we're pointing fingers. How come next door, when there are Shia calling out the Baykiya, Hussein, how come they're not finding aid in such a place? How many places can they help? Can they afford to help? Is it in their interest to help? I can easily say, listen, yeah, Iran, help them as well. But I don't know what goes on. I really don't. I would hope to see that the Afghan community in Iran receive the exact same rights as Iranian. I wish I can say I can see that one day. Because clearly society maybe looks down upon the Afghan in that circumstance because they're foreigners. But that's if you're looking at people from a societal perspective. Look beyond that. They're your fellow Shia. The same way you care about your son and daughter, you cared about a lady who had her house blown up and is now in rubble all the way in Rafah and in Palestine and in Gaza. They are living alongside you. They're next door to you.
Next door to you.
Next door to you, right? But can I say they've absolutely not given them any consideration?
No. Yes, we can.
With the true heart, Sayyidina, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be held reliable. That, yeah, Wallah, they didn't care. Wallah, they didn't do something. I don't know.
Maybe they did care, but they didn't do anything to prevent it or to stop it.
Could they have done something? How do I know they even could have done something?
If you can organize...
How do I know?
If you can organize a day at the end of the month of Ramadan,
last Friday,
in solidarity of the oppression happening in Palestine, rightly so. Why can you not have such a day for your Shias, not only Afghanistan, around the globe who are dying every day because of their beliefs, not for anything else, just because they believe in the wilayah of Amir al-Mu'mineen.
There's an interesting day they've beautifully done. It's called the Week of Unity. Between, because the birth of the Prophet is dated to be the 17th and the 12th.
Yes.
So I remember Ayatollah Muntadhari was like, that week, the Sunnis may say the 17th, the Shias will say the 12th. Let's just make it a week of unity. Yeah, but put the sectarian issues aside, whatever. I think it's good where you're focusing on unity between Sunnis and Shias, but bro, you need unity between Shia as well. Shia additional.
That should be the priority number one.
And I believe, inshallah ta'ala, that God willing, there is progress in that regard. I don't think there's a diabolicalness. I really don't. I just think that God willing and hopefully the resources are not there yet.
Yes.
But if you ask your Iranian, and you know this, you ask your typical Iranian, they can't handle seeing a child that's hurt, let alone a Shia child that's hurt from Afghanistan.
Yes, of course. I'm not talking about the Iranian people.
Okay. Even I want you to even
the government.
Consider the government entity. They're humans as well.
Definitely.
They're not robots. They're just program it to be a little bit evil. ChatGPT prompt, add a little bit evil here. No, I mean,
we're all mumkin.
What kind of heart do you have if you're willingly going to say, you know what, the Pakistanis, they're not that important. Let them go away. But what's more concerning than that is the Afghans as well.
But the policies shows what you really find important and not unimportant.
And I think many Iranian would agree with that as well.
Yeah.
I think many Iranian, many influential, effective policymakers, I think even the members of the revolution would come and agree to that. But as we say, masalih وَلِكُلِّ مَقَالٍ مَقَام, and for every statement there's its place. And inshallah ta'ala, we pray to see a day that the symbol of Shi'ism on a national level can also save the world on a national level as well, or at the very least, its fellow Shia in addition. And as, inshallah, they're doing that job. We can only assume, inshallah ta'ala, as well.
Inshallah ta'ala. Let's pray for the day Imam Sahib al-Asr wa zaman Ajal Allah
Inshallah.
ta'ala farajahu when he
Inshallah.
appears. Because
Imam al-Mahdi will unite no more borders, by the way.
Ahsantum. Because I don't have your husn zan Sayyidina. But I love the idea. I love the idea, inshallah ta'ala. I wanted to delve in Wilayat Al-Faqih as well, but maybe I wanted to ask you only this question about Wilayat Al-Faqih because you mentioned it.
Sure.
Wilayat Al-Faqih, it happened like the Iranian Revolution, you said the referendum. When we, like 20 years later, 40 years later, 40, 50 years later, 2024, the state Iran is currently in, the state the Iranian population inside and outside of Iran are in. Was Wilayat Al-Faqih successful?
Wilayat Al-Faqih is an Islamic concept. It's not exclusive to Iran. Wilayat Al-Faqih...
But they are practicing it.
Wilayat Al-Faqih is practiced by any mujtahid that embraces it.
No, of course, but I mean the
on
Iranian
a national
government...
level, on a national level, let's go for that argument.
Yeah.
And they weren't the first to propose it and implement it. Before then, this was a concept debated by ulama.
Yes.
You have the likes such as Al-Muhaqqiq Al-Karaki, Al-Naraqi, Sahib Al-Jawahir, Mohammed Hassan Al-Najafi. They just discussed an alim who has the command of Sharia can also give his opinion on political matters, and his matters that he gave opinions on, he has to be followed and respected. And Sayyid Ali Sistani spoke very clearly, listen, my opinion on Wilayat Al-Faqih is if the nation of people accept this as their rule, then they should be able to have this as their way of life. And I think as a religious political concept, we need religious political concepts. What happens when the Shia get a government? The last time we had something akin to this was Amir al-Mu'mineen, where you had one man deciding the halal, the haram, and the political, the yes and the no, the diplomacy. And so, okay, what would we do? We do, for example, for just a democratic republic? Do we have a democratic theocracy? Do we do a constitution and any majority come and say, here are the seats of parliament, you decide what the constitution looks like? In the referendum, they came and voted. We want Wilayat Al-Faqih.
Yes.
The people said, we want this.
Yes.
So we honor that the fact that you want to live by a certain lifestyle, and if the lifestyle is akin with Islamic values, then we would be the first to support such a thing. We want Islam. We want Islam. We don't want communism.
Definitely.
We don't want capitalism that hurts people. But was it successful? Is it not successful? Yani,
just your opinion over the years.
I'm not sure.
If you look at the time.
I'm not sure. I think they were successful in surviving.
Yeah.
They managed to make it despite sanctions that were bleeding and suffocating them. And even then, with these sanctions, they haven't shown any slowing down on cases that involve Palestine, the cases that involve Yemen, and inshallah more cases that involve neighboring countries, God willing.
And in their favor, they brought Shiism to countries which you wouldn't think of, like in Africa, East Africa,
Germany,
West Africa,
Germany with the Hamburg
yeah.
Masjid and so forth. And yani, it's easy for us maybe living comfortably to say, yeah, you succeeded, yeah, you didn't succeed. But as a concept in of itself, it helps fill a void of, okay, what happens when we end up in this situation? Can we have yani, an alim give his opinion? Sayyid Ali Sistani gives his opinion all the time. And when he issues an opinion, everyone follows.
Yes.
But he issues social opinions too. When you start entering the world of political affairs, that's when the wilaya of a faqih has expanded. Because every alim believes in wilaya of a faqih. A faqih has wilaya over areas concerning the money that no one knows who it belongs to. Yeah, amwal majhul al-malik. So the Khouy said this would be my extent. Then there are opinions that involve, no, you can go beyond that and even involve the Sharia. Like how Imam Al-Jawad alayhi salam says, khums right now is haram. Because the more you send me khums, the more the government takes it, intercepts it, and then uses it to hurt you, Shia. So khums is wajib, I'm going to make it haram right now. And now here's an alim that says going to Hajj is haram.
Yes.
In that one famous incident in the 80s, whereby last time you went to Hajj, you were all slaughtered because of the stampede. And for some reason, it was only us that was slaughtered. Shia. You know, haram on the Shia to go to Hajj. How can you make something that's wajib haram? You have to have wilayah over that. Here comes someone like Sayyid Ali Sistani, may Allah bless him, and he starts giving you reminders and says, don't call the Sunnis our brothers, call them ourselves. Ya Sayyid, why would you say that? And why would you say this is a life? Because we are dealing with Sunni Shia sectarian wars. We had Imam al-Hadi's shrine blown up.
It was a political stance.
We can't afford this anymore. Yeah, but what are you doing getting political, Sayyidina? Your job is fiqh, usul, najah. No. Right now, I have a responsibility.
That was taklif,
Exactly, I have a responsibility. Here in their case, the Iranian nation came and said, okay, we have a situation, we're fed up with the secular Western puppet that the Shah was. Introducing pornographic cinematography, bars. Baba, we're a nation of Muslims. Giving immunity to Westerners and neglecting your own Shia followers. We don't want that anymore. So they have the right to revolt. In this case, the world became an entity that unleashed its venom and fangs against them. So because others don't like them, can I say they've failed because others despise them? No. But can I say there is definitely room to improve and grow and not, for example, be negligent in some areas, not, for example, enforce other policies in other areas? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, you're talking about a nation that's only 40 years old, 40 plus years old a bit. And I think every 40 plus year old man also makes mistakes. Give the example of the USA that's like over 300 years old. Give the example of the UK that's thousands of years old. You know, then you're talking about a case study of a group of people who are just trying a way of life. And so it's a comprehensive, complicated discussion. But I think personally, I will always stand with the Shia wherever they are. And I will always be Team Shia. And being Team Shia means that I will call out and criticize where I think you guys need more improvement. If I am training someone and I see they have a flaw in their left hand, say in tennis, we talked about tennis right earlier. If I keep aiming at their left hand, that doesn't mean I hate you, because I know that's your struggle and weak point. That means I see a flaw, let's work on it. You know? So because you're Team Shia, you are calling these things out. I want to see the Shia succeed. The nation that has Ma'sooma and Al-Ridha and the Shah Abdul Azim. I want to see it succeed. And so when I see areas that I feel, listen, this has been an area kind of neglected, oh, followers of Ahlul-Bayt, because you are a symbol of the national Shi'ism, let's address this. And it's not because of antagonization, it's because I need to, inshallah ta'ala, be proud to see, if a football team is a Shia majority, I'm going to sign up with you guys. But I see your defense is weak. So when I call out the defense, does that mean I'm saying you guys all need to go away and let's restart the system? Nah. But that's the whole macro example, but in a micro example of a sudden. So we ask Allah to bless all of our brothers and sisters who are trying to do their best, hopefully, and those who are illicit in their intentions, to step aside and let those who are pure in their intentions take lead.
Inshallah, Sayyidina, I hope there comes a day where we unify as Shias, we create a strong force, a stronghold, a fort, despite of our differences.
Ahsant, Ya Allah, Ameen. I can't wait for that day.
Because what unifies us is the wilayah of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib.
Beautiful. Salamullah.
What else do we want than to stay as one strong power under his flag, under the flag of Allah.
Ahsantum, beautiful. Inshallah.
And inshallah that day comes with the zuhur.
Inshallah. May
Mahdi
Allah hasten the
al-Muntasar,
reappearance of the Imam.
Faraj Sharif. But in light of what we discussed at the beginning, yani the critical thinking, asking questions, progressiveness, trying to be an advanced human being, that comes with a process you have to go through. And that process may, if you have not the right skill set and the right expertise and knowledge, it comes with a lot of like traps. You can fall, you can lose your faith in God. Because you have so many questions and those questions stay unanswered. Ya Allah, khalas, I don't want to have this faith. Why should I believe in a God who I don't understand? You take a step away from deen, from religion, you become agnostic, I know some brothers in the community, because their questions were unanswered, they couldn't find the right answers to their questions, to their doubts. They said they closed the door on religion. They closed the door. They became agnostic, or even worse, they became atheists.
They lost their faith.
They lost their faith. And they're so deep fallen down that no one can pull their hands. How can we say now, in this day and age of the trend of progressiveness,
Yeah.
and people losing the faith in God due to the circumstances, due to their doubts, restore that faith in God?
Ahsant. People lose their belief in Allah, and people find problems in believing in Allah because of a set number of obstacles that are between them and Allah. Naturally, we believe in Islamic theology that everyone is predisposed to believing in God. It's in your fitrah. Every cell in your body is saying La ilaha illallah. It's just the nafs that says, no, I've reached a different conclusion. And we have a hadith from Al-Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, in that the purpose of the Anbiya in Nahj al-Balagha, he says, وَيُثِيرُ لَهُمْ دَفَائِنَ الْعُقُولِ, and that the Anbiya, they are trying to extract what's buried deep in your aql, in that you accept that God exists. The Nabi says, let me pull that belief back out, because you've reached a point where we've lost belief. Because there was a time when we all said we believe in God. In the alam before us, Allah says that we've taken them by their backs and we've made them testify that, do you believe there is no God but Allah? And they all said yes. This is an ayah of the Quran. So the Nabi has to pull that out. So we're predisposed to believing in Allah, but things in life come and act as barriers between us and them. So our job now is to just identify what are these obstacles or barriers or pitfalls that had came in between. Yes. Otherwise, ask every child. Justin Bennett did a research effort where he looked at, from the Oxford Anthropological Society, 35,000 children. It was one of the largest case studies ever conducted with 35,000 children, and they asked them, these are kids that are completely neutral, they don't have a swing towards God or no God, about whether or not they believe in a higher power. Overwhelming majority said yes, something powerful exists akin to God. Just naturally, you're predisposed. It's the fitrah, exactly. It's your intrinsic inclination. Yeah. And so something in life comes in and is a block. Sometimes, back in the old days, you had Christmas lights. Yeah. If one of the bulbs in the middle, the older ones, wasn't working, then the rest of them wouldn't work. Something stopped. Yes. So let's address that broken piece and fix it, replace it, whatever.
Unveil the fitrah.
I wish, Sayyidina, I could say there was a one-liner I could give that could apply to everyone's case, but it's a case-by-case situation. And so someone might lose their faith in God, Sayyidina al-Habib, because of some of the things we spoke about earlier, because they're seeing carnage, genocide, selective outrage. My people are neglected. Yes. That's not fair. What's going on here? I think it's not just, it's a society thing. I think God just doesn't care anymore. And so then they relinquish their faith in that regard. Some might have had a bad experience with holier than thou. If that's what it means, that's what it means to be religious, I don't want that. Forget that. Forget that. The barrier between them and God became a man, a woman. The barrier between them and God became geopolitical circumstances. The barrier between them and God became the problem of evil situation. How can he be so good if there's so much evil? But these are genuine questions and concerns. My job, your job, is to identify what is it about my younger brother or sister that's made them reach a conclusion where they feel that I don't think it's necessary to believe in Allah anymore. Ask them exactly what is it. If they say, I just don't, no, there's going to be something. Yes. If they end up saying, I just don't, I don't want to, then that is the barrier. Laziness, complacency. Their barrier between them and God is just the will to want to have a belief in God. That was the barrier. Let's address that. Okay, so if it comes in the case of religious people being horrible, first of all, they were never religious, because religion safeguards you. These people were just using religion as a tool and then hurt others. Your job is to now come and say, listen, that man or that lady the religion will be the first to condemn them. But don't blame the religion. Blame that individual.
أحسنتم.
And they are not being ambassadors of the deen so that you can come and say, this is what the deen looks like. That if it was Ali ibn Abi Talib, he would have made you love the deen. But it was someone that wasn't Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, and they failed miserably, and they took advantage of you, so they've had a bad experience. Or they see problems in life. I just can't comprehend how there's so many evil things going on. And God's supposed to be all good. I'm not going to believe. So then we have to have that discussion. But is, for example, a tsunami inherently evil? It's just the system of life. The farmer that complains his whole livestock was killed from a tsunami has a neighbor farmer who's thanking God because now he doesn't have to water the plants. So it's like relative all of a sudden.
It is relative.
If you're looking at causes of the world, you can't point to God. That's just the system of life.
That's true. And I think a takeaway message from what you just said, I want to hang on one of the points you mentioned very beautifully, which you said we have to give them the room, give them the space, give them the safe environment to ask their questions, to address their concerns, their questions, their doubts.
Absolutely.
And where does that start? In the household, of course. Because I've heard from many scholars, from the likes of you, Sayyidina, when you let your child loose from a young age, especially in this day and age, with these trends going on, transgenderism, LGBTQ, progressive thinking, doubting God, atheism, etc., letting your kid loose in this day and age, don't knowing who his 5 best friends are, like you said.
Absolutely.
Like you said. Yeah, you said it today to me, that your mom wanted to know who your best friends are. Who are you hanging out with? What are their names? What are they doing?
Absolutely.
How are they thinking? How are they growing up? If you don't know that about your child, an injustice. And coming 10, 20 years later, coming to the resident alim and complaining, Ya Sayyid, help my son. He has lost his faith in God. Who is the cause of him losing God?
Absolutely. If you neglect your son or daughter when they're in their critical sensitive years, the formative years, don't come to the alim later and say, come and help them. Where were you? Where were you? One of the best points is to know who their friends are. You brought in my family, and the case is, we would hang out with other people, but then all of a sudden they're telling me, that one guy, leave him alone. He can't stop using profanity. And, people like to copy their friends. And, it's like, I don't want you to be like that. Avoid him. And I'm thinking, you know what? You said avoid, I'll avoid. I don't want to go back and get yelled at. So I'll avoid. But later on, I realized as much as I didn't like to leave people that I thought were close to me, I realized that, no, that guy could have influenced me. But because friends are more influential than your family is, you are more likely to open up to your friends than to open up to your mom and dad. Because you're thinking, I have to deal with them at home and their complaints. I'm going to have to hear their critiques and criticisms. My friend just tells me it like it is. My friend will be like, I want the best for you. And in these cases, in this age, if we're not at least saying, hey, who are you hanging out with? Give me their names at least. It's your child. No one's going to ask about your child on your behalf. You have to do the job. That's the first thing you need to do. And you know what? Us as Muslims, we need to, before trying to help others, let's first help ourselves.
Definitely.
I'm telling them, watch out. But do I have to watch out from some people I got in my life? يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة. Oh, you who believe, shield and protect yourself, guard yourselves, then your families. I flew here, they had the mask say, if the mask comes down,
put it on
first secure it yourself,
then your child,
then the person near you, then your child. Fasten your seatbelt first. If the other person can't, first you, then them. Why? I can't give if I don't have something to give. فاقد الشيء لا يعطي is a concept. That which is empty cannot give. Okay, how am I supposed to give water if my cup is empty? First, let me fill my cup. That's not selfishness.
Beautiful.
That's being thoughtful for you. But in order to do so, I have to be thoughtful for me. And so I'm going to come and tell others, hey, do this. Learn your kids' friends. Hey, my friend, you should stop doing this and that. Do I have glass windows, walls, doors,
don't
roofs,
throw stones
and I'm throwing stones all of a sudden? I should watch out. If I'm pointing one finger, I have 3 pointing right back at me.
Sayyidina, to go into deeper into this point because this is a very, very relevant topic, a relevant issue. Yani the upbringing of your children. I had a brother who's not very religious. He's not very religious, and he didn't grow up in a religious family. Like they are Muslim, but they're not very practicing. Only going to the centers, Muharram, Shahr Ramadan,
Better than
and but Alhamdulillah, may Allah bless them. But he grew up very freely, like yani not praying, not fasting. He eats halal meat.
No, he was not free. That's not. I don't see
Yeah,
this free.
and yani free from a
A free person is the one that prays and fasts.
Ahsantum,
This
ahsantum.
person was restricted based on society's expectations of what
Ahsantum.
freedom was.
Ahsantum,
Oh
Sayyid.
yeah, they grew up without rules.
There's rules without rules. Ahsan. Without rules and regulations. So now he's grown up, and mashallah, he has a twin.
MashaAllah.
He has a twin, and he said to me one day, Sayyidina, he said to me, you know, I wish I had invested more in my religion. I want to be more religious, but I'm now 40 years old, and it's difficult for me, you know, to get a hold of religion and to invest time because I'm now a father. I'm now, you know, I'm the breadwinner. But when my daughters grow up, I want them to grow up religiously. It's very beautiful, but how can they grow up and have that religious fundament when their main role model doesn't have that background, doesn't have the knowledge, or doesn't have the interest?
It's sad that a father doesn't have an interest to be practicing for the sake of his own family. Okay, if you weren't practicing, for
Maybe
your-
he has the interest, but he doesn't have the time, the energy, or the resources. You also have those situations. Maybe. I want to play the devil's advocate. You have people who didn't grow up in a religious environment.
Why does that hinder the growing up in a religious environment for your children? My parents had many things that I don't have. They didn't have things that I have.
Yeah.
You know, that shouldn't be a barrier. That shouldn't be an obstacle. Just because I grew up a certain way that wasn't ideal doesn't mean that means automatically that my kids will have the same thing. Now I should be even more responsible.
Yeah.
Listen, you messed it up in the beginning. You've been given a second chance in your daughter. That's your kid now. That looks just like you.
Yeah,
That is part of you, and that is you, and she is you. Allah gave you another chance in your kid because if a child succeeds
Yeah.
with their religiosity, they will even intercede for their parents on the day of judgment.
ilaha
They will enter Jannah. Ya Allah, if I'm going into Jannah, I want my mom and dad to enter with me. I know they struggled in your obedience,
Yeah.
but for my sake, they'll do shafa'ah. They'll do shafa'ah.
Ahsan.
Why
Well,
would you lose that opportunity?
Ahsantum.
Just because you had a bad, experience.
upbringing or
Upbringing religiously.
religiously, yes. But what would be practical steps for that parent, for that young yani, husband and wife who have a child but didn't grow up in a religious environment, didn't grow up with that background?
You want practical advice?
Yeah,
You want practical advice?
yeah. Practical advice, how can they take the steps to save their children, save themselves and their children?
Take them to the masjid. I think that's a beautiful way to start. Take them somewhere where they see like-minded children also learning and benefiting when they're very young.
Yes.
Some of the best memories you and I have is growing up in the masjid.
Allah,
Husseiniya.
Allah,
Yeah,
yes.
we ran around, we got yelled at. But to me, it's like that was the place I had a great time seeing my friends
Definitely.
praying, then suddenly seeing my mom and dad cry because of a lecture. So I was like, what was going on?
My friends of the Islamic Center are my best friends.
And you look forward to going to the center,
Center.
because there you could meet your friends. If develop that culture with them in their younger age, because then they love the masjid.
Yeah.
And the masjid becomes somewhere that, in my years growing up, this was such a special place. Let me continue to retain that importance in my life as I grow older. Not even for the sake of just the masjid is important religiously. Now I have a sense of identity in it. In addition, ziyarah. You should now care. Some people, I don't give a about religion anymore because I didn't give it when I was younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for your kid's sake, you want to. A parent only wants one person to do better than they did, and that's their child.
Yes.
A dad only wants one man to be more successful than him, that's his son. A mom only wants one human to be more achieved than her, that's her daughter, her children. You don't want that for your kid? You want to do them an injustice? Do it like I did. Who cares about faith?
Yes.
Faith, even in a statistical way, just statistics shows more church goers are happier than those who don't go to church because they get a sense of community. They get a sense of belonging. That's just church. Baba, we have brotherhood and sisterhood in the masajid.
Yeah.
We have people looking out for the other.
Excellent.
In the masjid, we can cry together. We can grow up together.
Laugh
We can
together.
mourn together, laugh together. The best place to start with your children in an early age is take them to these masajid.
Ahsantum. I agree. I agree completely. But in the Netherlands, I think in the US as well, you have many communities who unfortunately are deprived of having like a center, a hub, a place, a masjid
Got it.
to come.
Got it. So then what do you do in that case?
What do you do in that case?
You make your own masjid. If you can actually make a masjid,
Yeah,
make it.
make it.
If not, have a masjid-esque atmosphere at home. Baba, Mama, this is Ramadan. In Ramadan, we fast and we read Quran and we watch some shows that teach about lessons and we learn about the stories and we, at the end of the day, have a beautiful meal. Something that we'd probably do in the masjid, the lessons, the Quran reading, the dua recitation together can be done at home now. Because what do you do at the masjid besides these things? You just lose the variable of community. You lost one variable because you don't have a community, let's just say, for our purpose in this example, but you can continue everything else at home. Make a community with your own family. You have 3 daughters, 1 son, a mom, a dad, an uncle that doesn't want to leave the house for some reason. Okay, come together and guys, tonight we're going to recite Dua al-Iftitah.
Allah.
Dua al-Iftitah is recommended on this time, in this month, at this time period, after we had our iftar, guys. Let's do it together.
Beautiful.
They'll grow up thinking, I can't wait for Shahr Ramadan to be next year as well.
Ahsantum.
Muharram, guys, we're going to put black. I know black is a sad color because that's why we're sad.
Sad, yes.
And we'll listen to a majlis. And if you see me cry, it's because I'm mourning something powerful. And I actually don't mind seeing you cry as well. You know, I would tell you crying is not good, does not have it. In this case, we should cry. So now they're like, why crying?
Yeah.
Is a good thing? Because Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, our tears for him show our love. And they're crying for Imam al-Hussein. And you can keep going and doing that. Why does it have to be, I'm sorry, there's no masjid, so we can't do anything? Okay, that's not right. You know, people homeschool their kids.
Don't limit yourself.
People homeschool their kids because they're afraid of the schools
School
out
system,
there.
yeah.
Okay, home masjid your kids then.
Allah.
You homeschool them because
Beautiful.
you're afraid of the progressive nonsense out there.
Beautiful.
But you couldn't care less about home masjiding them because there are no masajid out there and you don't find it necessary to bring a masjid in. No.
Home masjid.
Home masjid in
That should
addition
be-
as well. And that's just the masjid. Take them to ziyarah. I mean, there's no excuse not to go ziyarah if you have the funds to do so.
Of course.
Instead of taking them, Habibi, instead of taking them to vacation in like the Highlands of Scotland.
People gave their lives to do ziyarah. Nowadays, you can get a plane ticket
Pay
and go.
so much money to
Yeah.
go fly to Hawaii.
Yeah.
I don't say these are bad places to go. Go with your family to fun places. But go to ziyarah. Prioritize that.
Sayyidina ziyarah is fun as well.
Hey, you're right. Ziyarah is absolutely. What was I going? Ziyarah is very fun. It's good to change things up as well.
Of
I'm
course,
not going to
yeah.
undermine the fun trips.
Spiritual fun.
The
yeah.
exclusively fun
Yeah,
only,
yeah.
but ziyarah in addition.
Yes.
Umrah, ziyarah. One of my favorite moments growing up was going to these places. And it's like, I don't get it, but I love what's going
I love
on.
the atmosphere.
I love what's happening. I love
serenity,
seeing so
subhanallah.
many walks
Yeah,
of
yeah.
life. I come back home and like, that was very
La
fascinating.
ilaha illallah.
Get a little bit older, you know what? I'm so lucky that I did that
Lucky.
younger. And so
Ahsan.
these things that go along
Ahsan.
with Sayyidina.
Ahsan. Beautifully, Sayyidina.
Habibi.
We had a beautiful and long talk.
Wide range
And
of subjects.
I tired you, Sayyidina.
Not at all. I could go on and
I
on.
enjoyed it thoroughly. And as we are Noor Association, and this is the Noor podcast, we have one Noor of Allah on this earth.
Yes.
And inshallah, that Noor will enlighten this earth
Ilahi
with justice, and it is filled with injustice currently.
Absolutely.
And we talked about restoring faith in God. What is the doorway to God? The doorway to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this earth is, on one side you have Kitab Allah, the book of Allah, the guide to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the other way is the teacher of the book of Allah. Imam Sahib al-Asri wa zaman, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu al-Sharif.
Absolutely.
When we want to restore the faith in God or improve and increase our faith in God, we have to go to that doorway. Knock on the door of Sahib al-Zaman. And how would you, in this day and age, with these trends going on, knock on the door of Sahib al-Zaman? Say,
There's no need to knock on the door that's already open.
say Allah.
Why would you knock on the door if it's already open? Don't waste your time, just walk. Al-Imam al-Mahdi says, I'm waiting for you. Don't worry about it. I'm already ready. I'm already ready. I'm here for you.
Waiting for you.
Don't even bother about lifting your hand to open, knock, find a key. The door is wide open. I just need you to take the first steps. I'm al muntadhar, not muntadhir. I am waiting for you. Don't think you're waiting for me. And with that, I need you to take the first steps to me. Because I'm not going to come to you. You need to walk. I need to see effort. Allah says to Maryam alayhi salam, you're going through the pangs of labor. You're being suffocated with the pain that's so excruciating that is childbirth. Okay. هزي إليك بجذع النخلة تساقط عليك رطبا جنيا. Shake the trunk of the palm tree. Allah with His jalal could not send her a loaf of bread. He could. He wants her to put effort though. Shake the trunk of the palm tree, dates will fall for you. Dates will heal and hurt those hurting moments. They will give you that energy. Allah cannot just give her, yes, but Allah loves effort. The door, don't even worry, it's wide open. Just take the first steps. Because if you take one towards Him, then He'll take 10 towards you, running back, inshallah ta'ala.
Inshallah ta'ala. Beautifully answered, subhanAllah. MashaAllah.
Ameen. And hopefully, it's not steps. Hopefully, we run to the Imam.
We run. Like Usain Bolt, inshallah.
Inshallah, faster.
faster. Ahsantum Sayyidina. I enjoyed this conversation totally. We discussed a variety of relevant, important issues. And hopefully the viewers benefited as well, like I benefited from your presence and from your knowledge.
So have we, Sayyidina. Your thoughts and your feedback is very nice. And these dialogues are important to have, especially in our day and age. And I hope that we were able to shed some light on some under-discussed areas. From marriage that's been debated, from the geopolitical circumstances to Kabuli Palau, to sports and things of that nature. Alhamdulillah, I've had a wonderful time. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Sayyidina. The honor is ours. And to give glance to what the Sayyidina had to go through today, we had a lecture today, we had a Q&A session today, and he came at the end of the night to do a podcast with us. What an honor we have.
And I'll do it again, Habib.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you abundantly, Sayyidina. Keep us in your prayers.
Likewise.
And inshallah, till next time. Now it's time to eat some korma sabzi.
Inshallah ta'ala.
Inshallah ta'ala. Dear viewers, thank you very much for tuning in and watching and following our beautiful podcast, the Noor podcast. And we are still open for any feedback, for comments, likes, subscribes, because we need you. We do it for you. The Noor podcast is for you, my dear viewers. Thank you very much for tuning in once again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.